everybody, Essence here. All right, so how you doing? Type in the chat. Let me know how it's going today. Before I get started, we're talking about anger. Before I dive in, I'm going to pull a card to see what our goddess message is for the collective tuning in today. All right, so, and it is Artemis, Guardian. You and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. I received that. I definitely have been going through a period where I hadn't been feeling safe, and that's really that's very unusual for me because I always feel very safe and comfortable, sometimes even naive with it. Like not watching my surroundings and that kind of thing. So for all of a sudden me to not be feeling safe was pretty unusual. And then what eventually came to the surface was around some trauma that I had years ago when somebody tried to force himself on me. And so all of a sudden, recently, I've just been having these thoughts of like, I need to, be careful when I go to the grocery store and that kind of thing. If I'm going, I stopped going for a walk on this trail I go on because I didn't want to go by myself, right? And that was just not, that was unusual for me. But this trauma came up to the surface and then it just made sense. So this is actually how it happens. You're just going along, living your life, and then weird stuff starts bubbling up to the surface. And then you just have to be willing to like allow it to come up, and then it'll reveal something within you that needs to be healed. Sometimes it'll directly reveal to you what needs to be healed. It didn't do that for me this time. It was like bringing up fear around safety. So I have been getting help, working through it and working through it on my own. And this has actually been a theme amongst some of my clients too. Either anger, just like anger directed towards self, or like being afraid to feel and express anger in regards to something that someone else did to them. So I want to talk about anger and expressing it and feeling it in the goddess way, because so many people are so afraid of anger, and I totally get it, and that's why I want to have this conversation. So anger has a bad reputation, right? And I want to break that down so you can start to see anger in a different light. So anger is an emotion, a frequency, an energy vibrating through your body, just like happiness, just like sadness, just like optimism. Like it's a frequency in your body. It gets its bad reputation. I can't say it now. It gets its bad reputation. Is that how you say it? It gets its bad rep from this. Okay, so you have anger, like that, the vibration in your body, right? And it's heavy, it's intense. Then you have your action, right? So what happens is people marry the two, the anger, and then take action from that vibration of anger, and now anger has a bad rep. So basically, let's break this down a couple different ways. Like feeling anger in my body, so then I lash out at my partner, right? That's how I express it. I'm feeling anger in my body over my ex, so then I take the action and key his car. A mom is feeling anger in her body and she takes action and beats her child, right? So now anger has gotten a bad rep when it's a feeling in the body and then there's an action that is separate, right? So people are really afraid to feel their anger because they're like, oh, well, I'm afraid of what I might do. And so that's why one of the things that I do in my work is to teach, like, even when we do forgiveness, it has nothing to do with the other person. We're not doing things for you to go and have a conversation with somebody. One of my clients said to me one time, yeah, I just been preparing myself for the talk you gonna have me do with such and such. And I'm like, I'm not gonna have you talk to nobody. Because I believe that healing is between you and spirit, right? And me, since I'm in this, healing circle with you, but it has nothing to do with the other person. And so I see anger that same way. So if something, so let's just be specific. This trauma that I'm dealing with right now, I'm just working on the one about around the guy who tried to violate me. The anger that comes up within me is just for me to feel and process, because when it happened, I froze. Like, I fought for my life, and then I froze up because, like, he left, and there was still some place I was going afterwards. So what happened was, this is all that happened, and then I just got dressed and went on like nothing happened, didn't tell anybody or anything. So all these years, that terror, that rage, the anger has just been in my body. It hadn't come up to heal. And so I was thinking like I wasn't that upset about it, right? Because it didn't actually, he didn't take it all the way. Okay. So here I am now with, I feel like, my younger self bringing this up to the surface to be healed, to be released from my body. So what that looks like for me is raging out here in my office, beating pillows, screaming, right? Like anger journaling, to allow that repressed emotion to come up and for me to feel it and experience it in my body. It's not about going and looking up social media and seeing where he is and, telling him a piece of my mind. And and then it's a very intense emotion that you really have to be mindful of while you're experiencing it. Because I went to go make me a sandwich, and my partner, I'm talking to the cat, but he keeps thinking I'm talking to him, and then all of a sudden I feel I'm getting revved up. I want to be like, I'm not talking to you. But I have to remember, like, okay, I've given anger permission to come up in my body, so I have to be mindful of it not just jumping out, right? Like, I choose how I channel and express it, and I don't choose to just toss it around. Another way I like to describe it as, or maybe somebody described it to me like this years ago, but this is how I describe it, is like red paint. And so you can have this can of red paint, and you can shake it and you can stir it. This is the anger. You can do whatever you want with your red paint. But as soon as you start splashing it here and splashing it there and giving everybody a little bit of your anger, you're in the wrong. That is not the goddess way. The goddess way is to, again, constructively channel and move through your anger, rage, sadness, whatever the emotion is. It is yours to deal with. Oh my goodness, it's saying my video is gone. Okay, so basically what I was talking about is just channeling your anger productively and constructively, instead of, just lashing out. Because you know what? A lot of times, if you think about it, a lot of times when you lash out in anger, you don't feel better. And then sometimes you actually, oh, Kathy said yes, it did end abruptly. Okay, thank you. Um, you might actually feel guilt, right? So that's how you know you're not supposed to, it's not meant for you to like toss your anger out at other people, because it just doesn't feel good and it doesn't get across what your intention is. Because as soon as you, let's say partners, relationship, as soon as you are angry about something and then you go to your partner in that anger, their wall goes up. aura, their vibe, their aura can feel your vibe coming and just like, and so now when you're trying to speak your piece and get your point across, they can't hear you. Like literally, it won't go in. They hear the words and they hear what you're saying, but it won't land in the way that you are intending. So it is best for you to go channel your anger, beat some pillows and cushions, scream, do all that, get back to your center, and then go and talk to the person. Um, it is very unhealthy to suppress your anger for years. Left inwardly, it's toxic, and those heavier vibrations such as anger, rage, shame, those very low vibrational frequencies are toxic to your body and can create like cancers and other diseases. So it's very unhealthy. And then it also suppressed, like held in, anger can turn into depression. My mentor, Colin, he was working on a book. I think he might have finished it. The book was called You're Not Depressed, You're Just Mad as Hell. So when you don't express your anger, it can turn into depression. It also turns into anxiety. And depression, anxiety. Oh, and it can also create this loop in your mind where you're constantly thinking about the person and the situation over and over. And no matter what you do, you just cannot escape it. Okay. So it's important not to resist your anger and to allow yourself to feel it. Now, if you have suppressed something for 15, 20 years, maybe even 3 or 5 years, it may be scary, the thought of like unlocking it all and not really knowing what to do with it. And that's when you really may need help getting into it and expressing it. And a lot of times what I see with my clients, you think that you're getting into anger and you're really not. There's so much resistance to going into anger because we're taught that like it's not ladylike and nothing's worse than an angry woman, right? So a lot of times your ego won't even really let you go into the anger. Now I'm not talking about somebody who accesses anger easily. I'm talking about the people who have been suppressing it, right? So you try to tap into anger and it just, your ego won't let you because it's not pretty. So there'll be all these excuses why you can't go into your anger. And so that's what someone like me to help me guide you past that voice and help you tap into your anger and feel safe expressing it and being with it. All right. I think I'm just looking at my notes. I think that I have, one of the most important things is that anger can help you tap into your boundaries. So like when you let yourself feel angry, let's say you do get angry with your partner or something, right? Or your boss. If you feel your anger, channel it properly in private, it can propel you into setting stronger boundaries where you go back and you say, hey, you know what? It's not okay to speak to me that way. And you just speak your truth. For me today, I raged out and beat my cushion, and then one of the ways I channeled was to write a post because my mind was saying, oh, what if you write this post and people think that you hate men and this and that, and I'm like, F that, I don't care. Right? And so it channeled me into more strength around expressing myself on social media and not caring how somebody else may interpret it or take it or look at me differently, right? So I've just also been looking at ways, okay, like how can I use this anger as power? That shit is deep, right? So like I've been in here having some great ideas and like things that are pushing me and like stretching me, and so I'm using anger in that way. All right, so now I think that's finally everything I wanted to say. So I hope this gives you a different viewpoint on anger and being willing to be with it and express it. And I have my cushion that came from my mental. You can't see it, I'm sorry, but my big red cushion and racket that I beat when the anger is really intense. But other times I'll just stack all those pillows up on the floor, and then I'll just beat it and scream and say like whatever I'm frustrated about to help um, pull it out of my body. So it's coming out of my body through my voice, and it's coming out of my body through the movement. And then I just allow myself to just be there and to just breathe. So that is one of my practices. All right, so I hope that this helps. If you have some things that you've been holding on to for years and you are ready to finally heal and let go and step into your power and set boundaries, I am here to assist you. Feel free to message me, or you can go to essenceturner.com and see what offerings and things I have there and book a consult there. All right, I hope this video served you, and I will talk to you later.